You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cricket Podcast, where we get to say once more that India are world champions. I'm Jack Hope. I'm joined by Max Rowe-Brown. We'll be covering the knockout stage of the Women's Cricket World Cup and maybe focusing a little bit of attention on England as they continue to warm up for the Ashes. How are you doing, Maximus?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. And well, yeah, congratulations are in order, aren't they, to the Indian women for a fabulous victory in the World Cup. Completely dominant now, aren't they, India? Apart from the World Test Championship final, still elusive. But that side,
And the World Cup.
the World Cup, yeah.
Yeah.
They won the Champions Trophy, didn't they? That's the big one, the Champions Trophy.
They've
won something, haven't they? They've won 50 overs, they've won 20 overs. Men's, women's, totally dominant. Just a few more, loose ends for them to tie up now.
Yeah, pretty much that.
Yeah, well done. Complete.
Yes. Before we get into all of that, though, I just want to say to our listeners, make sure you click like and subscribe. Tell your friends, promote the podcast. It is pretty much Ashes season now. We're in the month that the Ashes begins, which is, well, as all cricket fans know, the most important thing in the sport. And we're really looking forward to it. And we want as many listeners to come join us for our reactions to those tests as they take place as possible. And that's where you as a listener come in, promote us, help us out, follow us on social media at the Cricket Pod. Although, I actually did some tweets this week. And you can find us on Patreon, patreon.com/the Cricket Pod over there. Max, I've been doing the summaries for the Women's World Cup, so I'll continue, if you don't mind, through the knockout stages.
Please do.
Starting on Wednesday, so we're going back in time a few days. South Africa took on England. This will be a match that will be remembered predominantly, I think, because of Laura Wolfart's dominant display, 169 off 143 balls, as she helped South Africa up to frankly ridiculous 319 for 7. England, in response, their batting had been pretty shaky throughout the tournament, and it couldn't have been more shaky in this game. Really, like they were 3 for 1 after 7 balls of the response. There's a I don't know if you call it a fight back. There was a little bit of face saving from Natsiva Brunt and Alice Capsu, who both hit 50s, but England went down by a total of 125 runs, and I don't think they can have any arguments. A pretty poor performance all round from England there, and an excellent performance from the South Africans. Then we moved on to Thursday, and this was an absolute, this was an instant classic, I think is how I would describe this game. Australia bat first, the dominant team in the tournament, undefeated, sweeping teams aside. I mean, it hadn't, they'd been in a couple of close-ish matches, but nothing. There wasn't really a time when you expected them to lose a game, and you certainly didn't expect them to lose this match. I think I said on last week's show that I thought South Africa were bigger favourites whatever I said. Like it was a long shot for India, and it was a longer shot after Australia put up 338 on the back of Phoebe Litchfield, 119 off 93 balls for her. And it was a bit of a wobble from India early, 13 for 1, 59 for 2. Wickets, losing Smriti Mandana in the power play wasn't the game plan. It looked like it was going to be a long way back. But they came back is the upshot. Don't want to ramble on too long. A massive third wicket partnership between Harmanpreet Kaur and Jemima Rodrigues got them up to 226, and then the lower order helped Rodrigues press on, all scoring at above a run a ball, to take India home with an over and a half to spare. I would say Australia, to some extent, complicit in their own destruction in this match, with a couple of all-time terrible drops, a missed stumping, and generally some substandard bowling, I'd say. But take nothing away from India. That chase was incredible. That innings from Rodrigues. It's obviously not the innings of the tournament, is it? Because Laura Wolfart the day before smashed England all over the ground. But it might be the great innings of the tournament, the one that we remember into the future. Takes India to the final. Obviously, that took place against South Africa. India batted first, and it looked like at one stage they were going to put on an insurmountable target, but the South Africa, credit where it's due, did manage to claw them back. 298 is what they posted. It looked like it would be a tall order. At a couple of points, though, South Africa did look like they were well in the game. Laura Wolfart, another century, back-to-back tons in knockout cricket for her. It came down to a situation where Wolfart was going to be batting with Tryon and de Klerk, who have lit up the tournament at various stages. And I thought, I didn't think it was on. I didn't think South Africa were favourites, but I thought it would be pretty close. Unfortunately for the South Africans, just after reaching 100, Wolfart was out, caught on the boundary, and the pack of cards came tumbling down. No one was really able to put the Indians under any pressure after that. And India take the trophy, Max. We'll start with the final. What did you make of the game? Who's the hero? Who's the villain? Will South Africa ever win a white ball final in any version of the sport?
Clearly perennial bottlers. Men, women, whatever, nothing. They can't do it. They can't get over the line. It's never going to happen. You want a hero? I suppose you're going to have to go for Deepti Sharma, aren't you? But it's tough, isn't it? I mean, a 5-wicket haul, it's pretty good as far as finals go, and it was a 5-wicket haul that ripped the heart out of the South Africa chase once Shafali Verma had made a couple of breakthroughs. She got Wolfart, she got Jafta, Dirksen, Tryon, and Nadine de Klerk. Basically everyone that South Africa were relying on to win that game. Shafali Verma got player of the match because it always goes to a batter because that's the rules. And yeah, I mean, credit where credit's due. 87 off 78. It's a pretty good effort for a final, especially when you consider that Shafali Verma only came into the side in the last week or so to replacing the injured opener who had previously done the business. Please save me with the name, Jack. Please save me with the name.
No, I refuse.
No, you won't. Okay, you refuse.
Pratika Rawal.
That was it. Yes. So, there was a lot of pressure on Shafali Verma, who's had a bit of a rough time of it, kind of vaunted as the next big thing, and then, not quite kicking on in the way that everyone thought she would in her early days as a 17-year-old playing in the India side. So it's a huge effort from her to come in and put in that kind of performance. So you can't deny the player of the match award there, especially with the 2 wickets that she chipped in with. Bearing in mind she'd only ever taken 1 ODI wicket before that. But yeah, for me, I think Deepti Sharma probably would have got my vote, given the 5 wickets and the 58 as well. That's a pretty good performance, and she did win player of the tournament, which I think is absolutely fair as well. But could have gone the other way, couldn't it? Wolfart again with a ton. It was for the South Africa side. It always felt like she had to get
150.
I don't know, maybe half. Yeah. And that was the only way around it. And I think that it was kind of a good example for where South Africa might have just come up a bit short in the tournament overall. Really, a pretty heavy reliance on Wolfart and Tryon and de Klerk at the end of the innings to catch things up in games where they'd been a bit behind the pace and won games from difficult positions. And the middle order, aside from Marizan Kapp, hasn't really done the business, and that is exactly what the issue was in this game. Marizan Kapp didn't fire, and that basically left too much on the shoulders of Wolfart. And by the time it got down to Chloe Tran and Dean de Klerk, I think the game was a little bit too far.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And I think that, I mean, like, if you were to make the argument for Shafali Verma winning player of the match, South Africa were in a situation probably when Cap was batting, where if they'd managed to score sort of 55 off the next 60 balls without losing a wicket, they would have become favourites to win the match, and they didn't do that. So you could, I mean, like, I probably agree with you. I like I don't know what it is she bowls, like moonball Yorkers. They don't seem to spin loads, but like it's a really, really effective way of bowling. Like the number of times people either plink it with the toe of the bat, or in the case of Dirksen, just miss it entirely and are bowled is quite astonishing, because visually
it must be the dip.
Yeah, it could be the dip. Yeah. Visually, I'm thinking just walk down the pitch and smack it, but no one ever seems to do it. No one ever seems to do it. Yeah,
there must be something.
And obviously that was that put South Africa in a really, really tough spot. But yeah, a 5 for Deepti Sharma. I mean, I think she'll probably console herself with the tournament trophy, the winner's medal, and the player of the tournament award. But yeah, it's tough on South Africa, I think. I thought, actually, and I think I said this in the Discord, that you can join if you are a patron, patreon.com/thecricketpod, as we were watching along. I thought it was too many runs, to be honest, at half time, and it took a pretty good innings from Laura Wolfart to even make it somewhat of a contest. Like, we shouldn't underrate, even though she's on the losing side, that knock and the two knocks she played in the knockout matches, scoring 270 for one.
Yeah.
In the two biggest games of her life. It's not bad going. And even with that, they finished 50 short.
Yeah, if Laura Wolfart pulls that off and South Africa win that game, then I think she gets player of the tournament.
Oh, 100%.
That's the level we're talking about here. Like, there's an argument that she could have got it anyway, but
yeah.
To the victors, the spoils.
As it probably should be the case. I'd say as well.
Yeah.
I think that was fair. Semi-final. I mean, we'll go back and talk about this briefly. I mean, we didn't get a podcast in between the semis and the final. Australia, where did it go wrong for them, Max? Losing to India, allowing India to pull off the biggest chase, I think, in Women's World Cup history.
Yeah, well, you touched on it in your preview, didn't you? I think it's quite easy to just turn around and say, well, if you take the catches, if you take the opportunities presented to you, then you win the game. And it's a very un-Australia thing to do, to miss those moments. But I think, the law of averages suggests the normal distribution of statistics would suggest that at some point that is going to happen to Australia, and they are going to lose a game of cricket in a World Cup or a knockout competition. And it finally happened. And that is good for women's cricket that it did. Australia would have probably felt that they'd done enough. 338 on the board. It's kind of reminiscent of the game in reverse, I suppose, when India put on a bunch of runs in the group stages, and looks like they would pretty much have done what they needed to do against Australia, and then Australia come up with a record chase to deny India. So I think that would have added an extra sweetness to India's victory. And yeah, they can point at those catches that they dropped, the missed stumping, and say that they were the moments, but ultimately they didn't get over the line. And huge credit to India and, of course, Jemima Rodrigues and her unbeaten ton. Got to say, though, Jack, what really pisses me off about just cricket commentariat in general, right?
Yes. Okay.
Jemima Rodrigues puts on this amazing show, 127, 134, wins the game in record chase, like plaudits due, incredible. And then what do you get all over Twitter? people talking about, oh, look at me. I was in India when Jemima Rodriguez was 7 and I said she'd be a star. Look at me. Look at how right I was. It's like, just fuck off, man.
You're
This is
angry
about
about
Jemima
Nasser Hussain?
Rodriguez being shit. Stop self-congratulating about how good you are at spotting talent in some 7-year-old in India. Like, just like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, why does it always have to be like you?
Who are you talking about? Nasser Hussain here?
There's a few. There's a few that have
Okay.
cropped up. Nasser Hussain is one of them. But like, it's
So I didn't think he was doing it himself. I think someone found a clip of him where he said
Nasser isn't the kind of guy, right?
Okay,
but,
so Nasser's off. He's not
yeah.
not who you're talking. Name and shame.
I'm pretty sure something I saw Michael Vaughan post something.
Okay, right, yeah.
That is exactly the kind of person that you could believe would be doing
that. Yes, I can completely understand that. Yeah, I mean, like I think the story of this game obviously is that innings from Rodriguez, like, and arguably that will define the whole World Cup because beating Australia is such a big deal. Like it's India, the car obviously won the tournament and are world champions, and this isn't to take anything away from them. It's actually to emphasize how impressive it was. Taking down Australia was huge. Like, they were massive outsiders in terms of a sporting contest. Like, you don't, for a semi-final of a World Cup in any sport, for one team to be such a big favourite over the other favourite when they're like ostensibly the first and second or first and third best teams in the tournament, it's incredible. And they are a juggernaut, the Australians. So to play that innings in that moment and to steer India home is incredible from Rodriguez. I do think that the chances who were they? I don't think any of the chances that we're talking about. Maybe right at the end there was Rodriguez was dropped by Talia McGrath, but the two bigger ones earlier in the match, the stumping just before drinks, and then the Healy drop, which is was comically bad, to be honest. I mean, not hilariously bad.
There have been a few, haven't there, in the last few times?
I think they're the turning points, but you need that sort of luck sometimes. If you're going to play a team as good as Australia, you need them to drop a couple of goobers. Otherwise they're pretty unbeatable. I think as well. Credit should go to the Indian bowling for dragging back what could have been 380 or 375 pretty easily. Australia at one point 180 for one with 22 overs or 23 overs still to be bowled. Like that is a good performance to restrict the team to only 150 more off those 22 overs and to bowl them out. And even down, if it's small moments, and it probably doesn't affect the outcome, but the last over of the first innings goes for 3 runs and India pick up 3 wickets with some well coordinated bowling and fielding. If that over goes for 15, India probably lose. It's I think the over before had gone for 15. If Australia can repeat that again, and the under over line on that over was probably 12, maybe 11. So that's a fairly good effort, even in a kind of small moment there. So well done, India. Beat the best team in the world. Won the final comfortably. I don't think there's much more to say on that. England, on the other hand, have probably got a little bit of time to say something about them. They crash out in the semi-finals to South Africa. They were very fancied going into that match, Max, at the same venue where they destroyed the South Africans earlier in the competition. What went wrong for them? Who should be fired now? We fired everyone last time. Who gets fired this time?
Well, I guess we just had to fire everyone we didn't fire first time around. Whoever's left. It's knockout cricket, isn't it? Laura Wolfart scores 169 off 143. And that's sometimes you do just have to say well played to someone for an excellent performance. And South Africa and Laura Wolfart, they've got that in their locker because they do have players who are as good as anyone else in the world. It's just they don't quite have the depth to maintain that over the course of a longer period, like I guess your normal Australias, and in past years, I suppose England would expect to do as well. But that's one side of it. That you're never going to win a game in a chase like that when you lose 3 wickets for one run. It's just a complete. It's just difficult, isn't it, to read too much into things like that. You've got on the one side, you've got a heroic one-person performance, and then everything completely falls apart immediately when you're trying to chase it. Maybe you just can't read too much into it, right? Like Marizanne Kapp's an excellent bowler. She's been doing it for years, opening the bowling and causing people problems, and it all went right for them. We've seen moments where England have not really. Was it the Pakistan game that got rained off where they got away with murder, and like four of the wickets that they lost in the first 8 overs or so were identical, right? The ball was jagging back and everyone carried on playing exactly the same shot. So I mean, there are frailties there and there are weaknesses that England need to think about how they approach the new ball and things. But I think there are times where you just have to try and forget that something has happened, and this is probably one of those.
Yeah, I think there'll be a few retirements off the back of it. I don't think it was a tournament too far for anyone. I think that probably everyone in the team deserved their place and so on. I think it's likely that the result will terminate a few people's ODI career anyway. I'm sure it's a T20 World Cup in about 15 minutes, about to kick off, so they'll play in that. I think England will look at it as an opportunity to move on, and so we'll see how things develop there. What's maybe concerning a little bit for England is that, if you're looking at the big three as we should through, when we talk about cricket, we should always look at it through the lens of the big three because they're the important teams. I feel that Australia and India, next gen, are better than England's next gen. And I think that's a little bit of a concern. I mean, if you look at Shafali Verma, for example, like World Cup final player of the match, she's had like a whole career trajectory and she's 21. Like we were talking about Nasser Hussain. Nasser Hussain was retired from international cricket before she was born. As she's come into the India team, set the world on fire, been dropped from the India team, people questioning whether she'd come back, people questioning after her performance in the last game whether the final might be her last day for appearance. She wins the player of the match in the World Cup final.
We love a narrative arc.
In a really, really short space of time. I don't know if there are. I think a few years ago, people were quite excited about the emergence of Alice Capsey and Sophia Dunkley. And maybe not for this tournament, but I think that there is some seam bowling talent in the English women's game. I think that in a different, if this tournament was being played somewhere else in the world, might have featured more prominently. But it does feel like India and Australia with, let's say Phoebe Litchfield and Shafali Verma after that performance have stolen a march a little bit in terms of the next generation for England. So who comes through and how they come through will be quite interesting. But it might not be, in my opinion, like an instant change around. And I think that will upset some people. Well, I also think is interesting, a little bit of a tangent, but there's like a lot of comment about the amount of investment that has been made into the England women's team. And I think that is true. And I think some people I've seen saying that England's performances in the last Ashes series and this World Cup haven't provided a good return on that investment. But I think that does look at the England team slightly in isolation because quite a lot of investment has also gone into the India and Australia
and they're
team.
playing catch up. They've been playing catch up with the Australia team for 15 years, right?
Well, yeah, pretty much, yeah.
I think you have to say to even be keeping pace with Australia to a degree that's a good return on investment. And I mean, India, you can look at the women's IPL for example. Like that's
Yeah.
massive, and that's clearly made a massive difference. So, yeah, I agree with you. It's a very English thing to do, though, isn't it? We've done this.
Yeah, it
We have
definitely
a
is.
right to therefore be good.
It happens all the time in whatever sport England are not doing well in. And we play them all, so there's always one. There'll be like some sort of inquiry led by an ex-player who will recommend a bunch. And this happens like it can be any sport. Like this happens in football. It's happened in rugby. I'm sure when we were crap at the Olympics, it happened in the Olympics.
Oh yeah.
I imagine something is happening in British cycling now that we're rubbish at riding bikes. Like a bad thing happens. There's a massive, there's like months of introspection. A new plan is formulated. The start the new plan, and if it doesn't immediately change the whole fortune of the sport, people lose their minds. It's like
It happens with governments as well.
Yeah. And even if it does, you've only got like a lifespan of maybe 2 years before people turn on you again. Like it's there's no extrospection isn't a word. What's it when you look at what other people are doing and consider like the wider picture. That's just not a feature of English thinking, particularly in sport. You look at what England did badly and you try and solve what England did badly, and you ignore the rest of the world. And yeah, like it is, like you say, it's like the other people are playing purely so we can test whether what England do next will solve the problem that England had last. And I imagine that this will happen again
Yeah,
following
I think that
this World Cup
actually,
to an extent.
in a funny way, that kind of lends some extra credence and I guess more respect you have to give to what England have managed to do with the Test team. Because I mean, they turned. I suppose there's the fact that they're maybe to completely go against my own argument that they went from a position of losing 1 in 17 to actually winning some Test cricket, which has given them some grace. But the overall results have at times been up and down, right? And despite that, everyone's largely on board still, because I think there's quite a good feeling about it. It's interesting that they've managed to keep that going. So much so that they're now that Baz is now in charge of all the cricket, which isn't going so well. So we'll see how long that lasts.
Well, maybe Baz should come in and be the women's coach. It's my first thought. Just do literally all the teams.
Yeah.
Second thought, I think Australia getting knocked out in the semi-finals is actually a moral victory for England vis-a-vis the Ashes coming up.
Right. So 8-0?
7, I think that would make
7.
it.
Okay.
Yeah. So just to count back that's 1 for Australia not winning the Women's World Cup, 1 for 1 test for moral Ashes, and then all 5 of the actual Ashes tests. I'm predicting them will win. So 7-0. Where was I going with that? I'm not sure. England are great. No, what will actually happen? If they don't win 7-0, let's say they only win 4 of the tests.
Does that make
there will be no
or
look
6-1?
When England lose the Ashes? Like if we're being realistic here, we'll stop the bit for a moment. When England lose the Ashes, which will probably happen, I imagine
by Boxing Day,
blood will be spilt. Blood will be all over the Lord's long room. They will defenestrate Ben Stokes off the balcony, and behead McCullum in the long room. And then there'll be another red ball reset. Andrew Strauss will have another go. We'll have.
I think Rob Key will just take over.
An arbitrary number of championship games will be proposed as the solution, somewhere between 8 and 20. Harry Brook will be the captain, and we'll start the whole cycle again. There is good feeling. I think it will take 1 bad performance in Perth before the inevitable cycle begins. Yeah, there's no happy ending. There cannot be a happy ending in English sport. That's the fact. Like, when was the last genuinely joyous moment that has stood the test of time in any English sport? It hasn't happened. It doesn't happen. If you win, you then become shit, and everyone hates you.
Yeah.
Like, the best play, if you're an English sportsman, lose heroically. That is how you achieve. Yeah, I mean, like, arguably, and I mean this across all English sport. You can say 2005 Ashes was the last moment of, like, pure. We finished it. We're great. This is excellent. Fantastic. This will stand the test of time. Football team got quite good. Then they fired the guy. Now we've got German in charge. Who knows what will happen with that?
I think the women's team winning the Euros and retaining them, that's pretty big.
No, because they lost the World Cup in the middle. And if they don't win if they don't win the next World Cup, then they will go down as failures and losers. It just doesn't happen. We are incapable of a nation of treasuring a memory. Like, basically, it's the 2005 Ashes and the 1966 Football World Cup are it. Like, they are the things that have. Yeah, maybe I'm exaggerating, but that does feel like, taking a view back on time.
Andy Murray, we got Andy Murray.
Yeah, but he wasn't Roger Federer. He's like a national treasure to some extent, isn't he? But I don't think.
I mean, that's got to count for something.
But I don't. I think I genuinely. I think if you polled people on Andy Murray, people would define him as a loser rather than a winner. If you said, "Is Andy Murray winner or loser?" They're your two options. You have to go to the ballot box. I reckon 53% loser.
You reckon?
Yeah, no, ignore the fact that he was the number
Brexit.
one ranked tennis player, that he won, 3 majors, played in a bunch of finals, won a Davis Cup, won a gold medal. Ignore all of that. He wasn't Djokovic, Federer, or Nadal, and so therefore he's a loser. Also, not English, so he doesn't really apply to this particular debate, I would argue.
Well, I mean, you can make that argument.
Yeah.
That I will accept.
Even the 1966 World Cup team, they lost in 1970 to the Germans, and kind of, a lot of people haven't forgiven them for that, I would say. Yeah. Sad. Right, look, should we move on to the Ashes? We've sort of transitioned.
It's a sort of segue, yeah.
Yeah. Should we do England, New Zealand? In an unbelievable chain of events.
You just couldn't write it, could you? You'd never believe it.
Like, New Zealand have beat England 3-0 in the white ball series.
And it wasn't
close. No one in the England team seems to be at all upset by what transpired. No one in the England team seems to be able to bat. But
that doesn't matter,
though. Yeah, like one of the games was a little bit close, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The most recent game was a little bit close, and Harry Brook hit a great century. What else is there to say about England as they warm up for the Ashes?
Jamie Overton very smartly decided he didn't want to play red ball cricket anymore, and then came into the white ball side and did really well. Which was quite funny, because I think this is exactly the kind of situation where you could see that performance and go, "Oh yeah, maybe we should give Jamie Overton a run in the Ashes." It's probably a good thing for England that isn't the case. So
he'd be nailed on to play the first test.
Done us all a favour there by making himself unavailable. But he's had a good series. He's done okay with the ball, and he's probably been England's best batter, which is pretty horrendous. What else? Yeah, the Harry Brook ton was magnificent. I think we spoke about that last time we got together.
Yeah, we
didn't
did.
we?
Yeah.
And I suppose the other moments have been, England's apologists of trying to point out that none of this matters at all, and it's all completely meaningless, and we're only there to fulfill our contractual obligations of the ODI World Cup, which, by the way, we may now have to qualify for in the dunce round, because the ODI team is doing so badly. So it does matter a little bit. And the other thing, is Harry Brook saying, "Are you stupid gimp?" Which is the best thing that's happened in cricket for a while, I think. So there's some fun to take out of it, but yeah, it does make me laugh that England are quite vociferously claiming this makes absolutely no difference, despite the fact that half of the Ashes batting lineup looks hopelessly out of form. Oh, and the other thing was that Harry Brook's response to England being about 33 for 5 after a game was that we didn't go hard enough to start with the innings, and that's why England were 30 for 5.
I've seen some like fun quotes from the England team. I saw Harry Brook after one of the matches. We didn't get enough runs.
Look, I mean,
which is the sort of inspirational leadership you want from your captain or vice captain, isn't it? There was quite a good McCallum quote. I'm not going to read it all out, but it was something along the lines of it. I haven't heard anyone in the England team acknowledge this, so this actually kind of was interesting. He basically said, "We're quite good on flat pitches, but we're quite bad when the ball does not flat pitch stuff."
Yeah, which by all accounts,
we all knew.
Yeah, and from what we've heard from the Australian camp, it may well be the case throughout most of the Ashes.
Yeah, it's hard to make. It's hard to like with the cards on the table, and people who've listened to this podcast for a long time will know I'm not a big believer in form being super relevant in cricket. I think the ability of the player is the main factor in determining what the likely outcome of their performance will be. And I don't think because they were a bit bad in a few ODIs in different conditions against a pretty good bowling attack as well, by the way. There are two sides
formidable
to the story.
in ODIs at home.
Yeah, I think they've got the best record in the world over the last few years at home.
93% win rate or something insane.
I'm not cards on the table. I'm not here saying that because Smith, Duckett, Root, and Brook didn't manage to all hit triple centuries in this ODI series that now they are going to be way undercooked for that first Test match in 2.5 weeks' time. They'll probably hit the nets and do some relevant preparation for that match prior to that match taking place. And I expect, my expectations of Ben Duckett's performance in the Ashes haven't changed as a result of these ODIs. If you are somebody who does believe in form, I can see why this set of fixtures will be alarming to you. Like I say, I don't really believe in that. I think Joe Root's still probably the best Test match batter in the world, regardless of the fact that he didn't score any runs at all in New Zealand. Still pretty happy with Joe Root at number 4 if I'm an England fan in the Ashes. I don't think this has shifted the needle.
That's probably fair enough, but it would also be better if they had scored some runs.
Like in what way? I mean, I'm not saying score. Look, obviously, it's always better if you score runs. It would be better if in every game you scored 150, wouldn't it? Like that would be the best thing that you could do. But that isn't how kind of cricket works. And if you believe that Joe Root is the best Test batter in the world, I don't think you should be now predicting that he won't score runs in Perth or Brisbane or Adelaide, or the Australian cities that they will visit on their Ashes tour in a month or 2 months' time. Like he probably is going to be good for an average of between 40 and 50 in that series. Like this hasn't affected my confidence in that really at all. I know that is to some extent a boring argument to be making, and it would be much more fun if we were like eviscerating this team and being like, this is a load of rubbish. But I just I don't think it makes any difference. I don't think it's relevant. I don't think their performances in the summer v India are even relevant. Like if Jamie Smith is good enough, then Jamie Smith will be good enough in a few weeks' time, unless he's suddenly radically changed his technique off the back of 3 poor scores in New Zealand, which is something that could happen. I mean, like the one caveat I would give to the form thing is that sometimes a player makes a change that makes them better or worse, and their performance being better or worse is unrelated to form. It's related to the change that they have made. Yeah, I would be quite surprised if Jamie Smith has changed his outlook on batting based on those 3 matches.
Yeah. Also, he's
Maybe I'm wrong.
fulfilling a completely different role in this ODI side to what he'll be doing in the Ashes, right? Like,
Yeah.
That's someone like Jamie Smith, not worried about. Like, yeah, I know. I think it's like it is completely different. It's different conditions, a different country, different bowlers, different pitches, different sport. Almost, England do treat Test matches more like an ODI, but it's still significantly different. So, yeah, I'm not like I'm by no means looking at this thinking that England are totally screwed at all. But it's just quite funny when England do badly because people lose the plot.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, that's undeniable. It's ultimately the thing we want from our England team, the team that we own, is colossal failure. That brings in the most views.
It's really hard to talk about England and dissect England performance that has been good.
Yeah. All right, maybe I'd go even a step further than that. Competent. Competence is the last thing that we want.
Yeah.
Like,
competent failure. Well, they tried really hard, but they just couldn't do it in the end.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the Cricket Podcast. We'll be back next week. I want
shocking, dismal failure.
Yeah.
Like embarrassing stuff that will be remembered forever. Or I want like incompetent victory where either the other team do something completely idiotic or one of the England players has the game of his life, and that becomes a talking point.
I don't mind the odd complete.
I don't want to see functional cricket.
Like where someone does something mental and we can project some fake hubris for 5 minutes. That's a laugh, but that can only be that's a rarity. You can't do that all the time, but that's quite fun every once in a while.
Yeah, I can probably get behind that overall. I'll give you that one. I would say from the England team, I want tier lists for podcast content. S tier, shocking failure. Like hilarious and people running into each other, run outs, dropped catches. A bowler we all knew. A bowler we all knew would be rubbish, being rubbish and or getting injured. I want like 8 people out playing reverse scoops. And lose by an innings and 300 runs. That's S tier. Then I would say in like the kind of A tier are heroic performances, and shocking performances that ultimately lead to victories. And then I'd say in the B tier is the dominant victory, which is, as you say, sort of fun to talk about and gloat over, but ultimately does not bring in the viewers.
Like no, that is true. No one wants
other points. Yeah, no one wants to hear English people talk about how good England are.
And that includes English people.
Enough of that. That's surprisingly true. It's again, it's like a culture thing. Look, you can tell that we're not we're in this dead spot, Max. We're in this dead spot where there's not really enough serious cricket.
Yeah, well, the important cricket that we were talking about is over, and we are treading water a little bit, but we can. Well, maybe we're getting, like you said, we're getting there. It's the season, isn't it? It's cricket Christmas is coming up, and like anyone who follows Christmas will know, the lead up to that probably started in May. But now we're getting close enough to actually preview it. So now we can write our Christmas lists and buy our Christmas wine and plan what we're going to have on Christmas Day in the evening and start planning our cheese boards like the middle class people we are. And that means it's probably time to start thinking about some proper Ashes previews as well, which will be nice.
Absolutely. One thing that was good for England is that the bowlers all bowled and they didn't get injured. Like I think that in terms of Ashes preparation, I don't care at all about the performances, like in this ODI series in a different country in a different format. Like I just don't think they're relevant. The fitness of Mark Wood and Jofra Archer, and probably to a lesser extent Bryden Carse, is extremely relevant to the outcome of the Ashes. And I think maybe Jacob Bethel not getting any runs and therefore not batting at 3 in that first test, potentially actually not the worst thing that could have happened for England at this stage in his career. So there are, if you actually want like an Ashes talking point, England do appear to somehow have ended up in a situation where they're taking all of their first choice bowlers. Would we say Wokes would be in the first choice pack? Maybe we would have been
I think
around.
we said they'd have picked him, but we may not have agreed.
Yeah, but they should have. Yeah, maybe he would be in for Matthew Potts. But England probably will end up in a situation where they have all of their first-class bowlers, or what they perceive as their best bowlers to pick from for this Ashes series, which in theory,
is nice.
In theory, is good.
It will make it extra devastating when Australia are 100 for none at lunch on day one of the Ashes.
Look, it could happen. It could happen. It's not like it's completely within the realms of possibility that happens. I think the most likely outcome, as I've said, 7-0, and then the second most likely outcome, 4-1 Australia. This a very polar, extremely polar situation in my head anyway. Australia, there is a little bit of Australia news. Travis Head has been dropped from the T20 side, so he can go and play a game in the Sheffield Shield, which sort of makes sense, really.
Yep.
He wasn't doing anything in those white ball matches. I was actually playing pretty badly.
I mean, if England's warm-ups against New Zealand are pointless, then Australia playing against India is arguably even more so.
Yeah, and there's barely a greater acknowledgement of that than Australia dropping maybe their best player.
Yeah.
to let him go and play some domestic cricket in preparation. I guess, I mean, like, here's a question for you. You might be a believer in form. Is Travis Head's form a worry for Australia?
Nah, because he's that kind of guy, isn't he?
Okay, so form doesn't apply to him.
Well, I think there's more to form than perhaps you would give credit for, but I also do agree with you when you say that ultimately class is I'm just saying form is temporary and class is permanent here, so I should be shot. But you're right in saying, like, the biggest determinant of whether someone is going to perform is whether they're good at cricket and not whether they've had a good run. Like, confidence is a thing, and like you say, some of that form can be wrapped up in, maybe someone goes through a bad patch of form because something about the way they bat. And I think this is probably truer in cricket than some other sports, right? Like form in football, is a kind of weird thing. But with cricket, there's probably more that you could attribute it to, right? Like someone might go through a bad patch of form, and there is an underlying reason for that, and that is that there's something in their technique that has been worked out because now they're playing international cricket. People examine it much more closely than if if they're just playing county cricket or domestic cricket or whatever it is, and then they need to make an adjustment to deal with that, or they don't, and then they disappear. But then you question whether that's form, right? And that's just something different about the way cricket works. But Travis Head, he's one of those players who is kind of a little bit feast or famine, isn't he? Because of the way he goes about things. He's belligerent, he's attacking, and he plays really exciting cricket, and that comes with inherent risk, and that means that sometimes he will fail, but he is so good that he will turn that around quite quickly. So wouldn't be worried about Travis Head for Australia.
No, I'm not worried about him. Marnus Labuschagne's got lots of runs.
I'm worried about him from an England perspective, but Labuschagne hitting form is an interesting one, isn't it? For someone who's not done much in recent times.
Yeah, should be a good series. We need to think about doing some proper previews for that. I feel like they've left too long a gap. Like in my head,
Was it 3 weeks?
Yeah, I feel like they crammed so much cricket in. Could they not have crammed it in closer together so that we could be talking about these games like they were going to determine something in the Ashes instead of having forgotten about them by the time we get to the Ashes? Like, that's what I want. I want Jamie Smith to be in the pressure cooker because of his poor form in white ball cricket last week in New Zealand when he goes out to bat at Perth, not like a distant memory. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, look, I think that's probably enough for the Cricket Podcast this episode. Thanks very much for listening and watching. Max, we've talked about this. We want to do a bonus show on Test 20.
Yeah, we do.
We will go deep into the rules. So we'll try and sort that out as an extra thing that we talk about now that the Women's World Cup is over. If you haven't seen Test 20, maybe take a chance to appraise yourself of the rules and
it would
definitely
be
not written
more
by
enjoyable
AI content.
You know what's going on. I say no. It's impossible to know what's going on because it's completely insane. But
I think the long and short of it, it's a tournament for children and some men to play a 2 innings T20 where the draw and the follow-on figure somehow, and all these teams will be owned by
nepo babies,
billionaires in combination with famous people's children. It's
if that doesn't sell you, what will?
It's going to take a little bit of, it's the new format. It's the fourth format, the fifth format that cricket has been praying for. We've got our test matches, ODIs, T20s, T10. Well, the 100. We needed a sixth version of this sport, played only by children and some extremely dominant, probably quite overly aggressive men. Obviously in India, owned by Johnny Depp's daughter, with rules that are mystifying and appear to have been exclusively written by AI. But this is a thing. It's $1 billion opportunity, Max. So maybe we shouldn't go in too hard in case they give us the chance. Maybe we're the nepo
we could be
babies.
the anchors.
Maybe our children could be the nepo babies that take ownership of one of these franchises somewhere down the line, when the sport is ruled by Test 20. Or maybe not. Needs further discussion.
Time will tell.
Yeah. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.